POV Italian Cooking, where you see cooking from my point of view. Time to take a break from playing Pokemon Go and cook a little bit. Today, I got up early enough to get down to the farmer's market, and thankfully the Amish folks down there still had some squash blossoms left. So today we are going to make deep fried squash blossoms with stuff with a little bit of ricotta just to kind of step it up a little bit. Squash blossoms are very delicate, they're very sweet. Ricotta cheese just adds a little bit to it. So let's get started. Let's take a quick look at the ingredients for deep fried squash blossoms. Of course, the star of the dish is the squash blossoms. These are zucchini blossoms. These are very, very delicate and gold because you can only get them such a limited time of the year. I have the squash blossoms cleaned, ready to go. Rinse them lightly and just let them dry in a paper towel. Maybe dab them very, very lightly. You don't want to crush them. What you have to do when you're getting these ready is you got to remove the pollen stem. The way to do that is just very gently work your finger up inside of these and just break that off and kind of just pull it out. Now, if you're not making stuffed squash blossoms like we are, it doesn't matter. You can kind of tear them apart to get this stem out. Our ingredients: we are going to pipe just a little bit of ricotta into each of these. For our batter, we're going to use 1.5 cups of flour and 12 ounces of beer. You want to use a good lager. I bought some Labatt Light. A little bit of salt and pepper in the batter. And then of course we're going to deep fry these in vegetable oil. So I'm going to break away, rearrange stuff, and we'll be back. Let's get our batter ready to go. I have in my bowl 1.5 cups of just all-purpose flour. We're going to do a little bit of pepper right in our flour, a couple grinds, and just a tiny little bit of salt as well. Now we need to add 12 ounces of beer. Use a light lager in this. Now I bought a great big can at the store just because it was convenient to do so. We don't drink a lot of beer, so I didn't want to buy a whole case. I'm going to put 12 ounces of beer in my batter. I have a 3/4 cup, which is 6 ounces. So I'm going to put 2 of these in there. You do want your batter to be a little bit thin, a little bit runny, because these are very, very delicate flours. And you don't want a real heavy batter. You don't want the batter to be real thick. You want the blossoms to be the primary taste in the dish. So I probably should have grabbed a whisk. Yeah, this will be alright. I can tell you right now, probably going to need to add a little more beer. I'll tell you, boy, you can smell that beer in here. It's going to be good. I want this a little bit more thin, so I'm just going to add a tiny little bit more beer. So you can see the consistency here. That's about right. That is about right. I've only made these one other time. And I believe that time I made them, I had my batter too thick. I'm really focusing on getting this batter just the right consistency. So a thin batter is perfect. All right, that's about right. Okay, I'm going to break away. I've got my oil in my pan. I want to get that heating up. Okay, our next step is to pipe a little bit of ricotta into these. Now with our ricotta, I don't have a piping bag, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my ricotta cheese down into a gallon-sized bag and just cut off one of the corners. And that's kind of a, just a quick and dirty at-home piping bag if you don't have everything you need. Okay, I have some ricotta in my Ziploc. I've got the corner cut off so you can see it's going to squirt out. Now I've got whole milk ricotta. And again, we don't want a lot in these, at least I don't. I know some people really pipe a bunch of ricotta into theirs. I just want a little bit. For me, the blossoms are really the star. That's the primary taste I want. I just want the ricotta to kind of enhance that a little bit. So what we do, and these things can be, sometimes they can be a little tough to handle because you're trying to be so delicate. Just squirt a little bit down in there. Just enough to enhance the flavor. So we've got 2 done. Boogers are tough. Now if I had a real piping bag, this probably would be easier, because especially if you had one with a nice tip. Ooh, that one's got a lot of ricotta. So now you kind of see how I do this. So I'm going to break away and get the rest of these stuffed and ready to go. Alright, I have the ricotta in them. A few of them, the ricotta's trying to come out. So what we want to do to make sure our ricotta doesn't come out while we're deep frying them, we kind of want to twist the bottom a little bit, like so, just so the ricotta can't come out the bottom. And then all we're going to do, let's stir our batter here real quick. Then all we are going to do is just lightly coat these with the batter. Again, you don't want a ton of batter on them, so just kind of rake it on the sides like so. And make sure our ends stay twisted. We're just going to set that on our paper plate. Again, we'll do one more here. See if I can get this one in shot a little better. Just kind of roll it in the batter. And then rub it along the sides. Twist it up. Hopefully that bad boy will stay together. That one's trying to rip. These are just so delicate. You got to be so careful with them. Let's do this way. Just kind of lay it on top. Take some of the batter off with our hands so they're lightly battered. Put it on our plate. I do have a couple here that I didn't put any ricotta in, which is just fine. Some people don't stuff them. My good friends, the Badalis, who own Nicola's restaurant, do not stuff theirs. Alright, I'm relocated over by my oil, and you want your oil to be 350 degrees, and I just noticed that this thermometer doesn't go up that high. Another way to test your oil is to put a piece of wood in it, and you can see how it's boiling right around the wood. That means it's ready to go. So I have our squash blossoms here. Squash blossoms only need to cook for a few minutes, like probably 2-3 minutes each side. So we'll drop these bad boys in there. I'm not going to put them all in here. Probably do 3 or 4 at a time. That's enough. We're just going to let them go for a few minutes each side. A lot of water and ricotta, that's why we got all the popping and cracking. These are just about ready. I'm sure you're probably having problems hearing me over the snapping and popping of the grease. Alright, yep, that's the ricotta coming out of that one. So we're just going to rinse and repeat and do this several more times. Alright, last batch. Ready to take out. We're going to set these on a paper towel to drain some of the grease out. When we come back, we'll do our tasting.
When I began editing this video, I discovered that the microphone on one of my cameras was no longer recording audio. After a little bit of research, found that my microphone had came unplugged. Fortunately, I'd already recorded probably 2 or 3 other videos, so there's a few videos now that you're going to see here in the future that the tasting has no sound. So for these ricotta stuffed deep fried squash blossoms, they were really good, really crisp.
It's good.
Very sweet between the squash blossom themselves and the ricotta. Highly recommend making this dish. Very tasty. With that, I want to thank everyone for watching. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, but most importantly, click that subscribe button on YouTube. We'll see you next time, and ciao.